Thanks for everyone for joining in today. Really appreciate you making the time. And we're just going to share you, I guess, a little bit what we've been working on here at Laconik for the last couple of years. And as we move into this sort of, I guess, key decision, fertiliser decision timing. Effectively, Wayne and I started Laconik back in 2017. We'd seen very little change happen in the fertiliser decision-making space, and we realised that there's an opportunity to think about how we do things radically different. We'd seen the power of machine learning in other industries really have an effect and have great benefits, and we're looking at those opportunities and how you bring them into agriculture and, per se, more fertiliser decisions. I guess the problem that we're clearly focused on here is, and that was a 2018 study that was put together by CSIRO there, the single biggest factor to close the yield gap is to increase the amount of nitrogen fertiliser applied to wheat crops. When we go and extrapolate those results out from that study, they're indicating that by applying a bit more nitrogen to our crops, we can increase our yield by up to sort of 1.7 tonne. Over the 12 million hectares of wheat that we grow, based on a $250 a tonne wheat price, there's an extra $5 billion worth of value. The same study is also suggesting that we can increase our fertiliser rates by up to 40 kilos per hectare of N. And when we extrapolate that out, there's an additional $500 million worth of nitrogen fertiliser that can go on to wheat crops around Australia. So Wayne and I put our thinking hats on. We formed Laconik, and I guess we've started with our Chief Financial Technology Officer, John, joined us last year. John's the tech guy behind all the development that you see and has a really good understanding of all the machine learning principles that we're going to talk about in today's presentation. Wayne?
Okay, we'll just start with where we are now. At Laconik, we like to look forward, but looking forward, we had the opportunity to actually look backwards because we were using a lot of small plot trial scientific data to do some of our data science and machine learning. So it didn't take us long to be able to run through where the current methods are in terms of their accuracy. So we downloaded about 1,200 scientific trials in WA, doing this elsewhere across Australia as well, not just for nitrogen, but for different nutrients as well now. And we were able to put all the data from those trials, it included soil tests, and also the magical thing, which is the yield, which when we use these sort of decision support tools, we guess. We actually knew that with perfect knowledge in hindsight. We were able to put those through a decision support model, common decision support model, to look at predicting optimum nitrogen rate. You can see there, we ended up with a bit of a monkey on a typewriter type response. Leave a monkey on a typewriter for long enough, it'll get a word right. That's pretty much what we found with the traditional method of predicting an economic optimum nitrogen rate. Remembering that that's taken from a soil test site, and then you somehow need to miraculously extrapolate that across a large part of the paddock, knowing that the yield that you've guessed is going to vary as you move across that paddock. Okay. Next slide. So we look at where the technology is at the moment. Blanket fertiliser rates have been around forever. Variable rate fertiliser based on imagery started probably in the late 1990s. The fact it's not widely adopted would suggest that it probably is not of great value. So what we're doing is we're moving beyond those to predicting the economic optimum fertiliser rate across every pixel. We use 36 by 36 megapixels across paddocks, and then zone that up into practical rates. Okay. The way that we're predicting that economical optimum rate on each pixel is we're using unique methods to fertiliser decisions. I won't say they're unique methods to other industries. These get used all the time by people playing the stock market. In fact, they're probably driving the stock market at the moment. Some of the trading algorithms are used to drive autonomous cars. They're used on web browsers. These things are used everywhere in our society. They're used in a lot of industries using quite subjective information. Our view is that agriculture of all industries has so much objective information, both historically, and we're now collecting it in real time on every square inch of farmers' properties in terms of yield maps. We've taken the historical information and the new information and put it through some very rudimentary machine learning with that same information that we showed you before, the monkey on the typewriter thing, except we haven't used any soil tests. We've used paddock rotation and the yield and came up with that green stuff, the green dots that you can see on that graph. Now, we found someone in the university who did that within 2 hours. The red dots we consider have had 40 years to improve and haven't. So we think we're onto a pretty good thing heading down this pathway using technologies and techniques that other industries have been very successful at, and quite frankly, agriculture has used it for things like green on brown and green on green, but fertiliser decisions for some reason haven't been tackled. That's what we're doing. Okay. We'll quickly go through some of the products that we're offering. Laconik Nitrogen, Laconik N is our flagship product for this season. We also do Laconik Trial, replicated trials, strip trials in the paddock, Laconik VR, which is what we call a piece of paper and a box of crayons to draw your own variable rate maps, and Laconik Yield. Have a look at Laconik N first, okay. All our products, features of them are, you can go in there right now, you can log in, you don't even need to log in fact, to do some of them. So it's free to get in there and play right now. We don't have any software. This is a web-based platform, call it a web app. So there's no demo versions. It's very easy to use. I'm one of those people who runs a hard copy diary. Even I can use it. We have no subscriptions, no fees, so there's no lock-in. You're not beholden. Your data's not locked in here. There's no product sales associated with this. There's no rebates on fertilisers or anything like that. You can view your yield maps just on the screen at a touch of a button. Yeah, and you pay for what you need when you need it. So there's no obligation on you to use this or to purchase it or to outlay money up front and then hope that you use the bloody thing. It's just really get what you want. If you don't want it, don't get it. We use a cart, basket, what are you going to call it, method of payment. So you, on the web platform, you go through, create your products, add them to your cart, pay with a credit card on the way out, and then you receive an email. It's got your scripts and maps in it, maps of what you've purchased, because people like to have a hard copy, particularly for tractors, and a receipt. Okay. Laconik Nitrogen, the first one we'll quickly go through. If we go to the next slide and just have a look at the overall way that this works. What we do is we take historical yield and weather data. This yield is obviously the farmer's own yield. This is not some person in a white lab coat telling them what they should be able to yield. This is what they have yielded in the past under their own management on their own property, on every square inch of their own property, in fact. We take that historical information with historical environmental information, NDVI, whatever other information we can find that is widely available. We use that in our machine learning processes along with our known responsiveness to produce a map of the optimum nitrogen rates across the whole paddock. Basically, what we're doing is we are using the past yield that was achieved and how that was achieved with the pattern of the environmental conditions throughout that season to predict where our yield will end up at this point in this season. So we're using basic stuff, using the past to predict what is going to happen now. Once we have a reasonable indication of yield, on one of the first slides you saw, everyone knows yield is the biggest determinant of nitrogen rate. Historically, yield is the first thing that we've ignored, which is a bit silly, given that it's the biggest determinant. We're actually embracing that to try and improve our nitrogen recommendations. So we produce that map of optimum nitrogen rates, then we go to the next step, on the next slide, where we can add a replicated trial to test the nitrogen responsiveness. We have no problems with putting our stuff to the test with other recommendation systems or standard practices and all those sorts of things. In fact, if you think about it, there's not too many people who actually do go and put their fertiliser recommendations to the test by measuring it in a scientific way. And some organisations, some people who do that in many different situations and tend to espouse the one situation that did work. That information of the variable rate fertiliser and a trial, if it's required or needed, is then put into a VR file, which is emailed to the purchaser, which could be a grower, an advisor, a consultant, a business, doesn't matter. Everyone is more than welcome to jump in and use the web portal to do this. That variable rate file is then uploaded to the rate controller. It can go through John Deere, it can go through Trimble, it can go into USBs, it can do all those normal ways of getting it to there. And we've got support services to help clients get through that rate limiting step, if it is indeed rate limiting. Okay. This is a quick look at the platform that anyone can get in there. We put the paddock boundaries in. The client is on My John Deere or got farm maps elsewhere. We just suck that in along with their yield information. We sync it behind the scenes. When it comes to doing a variable rate nitrogen map, we go and pick the paddock like we've done there. We can put the grain price in, the nitrogen cost. We can say what nitrogen fertiliser that that nutrient is going to go on as, and then we run the map on the next slide and end up with our prescription nitrogen rate map there. You see on the left that we can toggle up and down with +N and 2+N, and the other way minus, obviously, and that is increasing and decreasing the rainfall and the environmental conditions that are likely to be expected from this point on. So there's a bit of a sensitivity analysis in there as well. People can look at that initial map as a bit of a guide, and if they think that, no, it's too high or it's too low, they can toggle left or right and get it back to something that they're more comfortable with in terms of rate and their risk profile. Next one. This is what we did last year, and you'll see there that we put these script trials into every paddock that we did this. This is because people were saying, yes, love what you're talking about, really good, but actually prove that it works. We could have been a bit facetious and turn around and say, actually prove what you're doing currently works, but that's not the way it works. So we put these trials in, and okay, if we move to the next one, you'll see that in these trials we included nil nitrogen rate, obviously to see if whether it was responsive at all. We include our variable rate strips. We included the normal incumbent standard nitrogen rate, and we included a high rate to see how far the response went. Okay. This is the 54 trials that we conducted across WA last year. What we've got on the y-axis there is the margin, or the difference in the margin between the Laconik treatment and the incumbent or normal treatment. So anything that's got a got a red histogram is where there was no significant difference in yield. So the yields, any numerical differences in the yields were not real. So the only difference in terms of margin was the cost of the nitrogen fertiliser. The green ones is where there was a difference in grain yield, a real difference in grain yield, and therefore the difference in margin is due to difference in revenue and a difference in the cost of the fertiliser. So across those 54 trials, 2 out of 3, the Laconik was better than the normal practice, and it averaged $6 to $7 per hectare better across all those trials. We know that through the machine learning process that we can improve these predictions. Our aim is to get 95% of those margins above that 0 x-axis, and to get an average of $15 to $20 per hectare improvement in margin. Okay. The next little product we'll go through, $555 per trial, including GST as Laconik trial. Okay. On the web platform, we can sync the AB lines from something like My John Deere, or we can enter those. We just say that we want to put a trial in. That little screen on the right pops up. When we pick the paddock, obviously at the AB line, we can say that we want the trial width to be 24, 36, 48 metres, depending largely on the application equipment. The example there is we've got a trial width of 24 with an application of width of 24. So obviously each strip is the application width. Sometimes the client might want to go 2 or 3 widths to make the block. Pick the product, and then we go and we add the, in that case, 4 treatments, but we can go up to 5 and locate that somewhere in the paddock by dragging and dropping. And we just go OK on that one, and that is the product that is delivered to the client. That's the PDF of what they've just done, and there will also be the variable rate file to make that happen. Okay. At the end of the season, so I should say that obviously that trial is implemented as the application equipment goes across the farm, and it's all done seamlessly. That is not just nitrogen. Clients use that with compound fertilisers, potash this year as well. Very easy to do and went out really well. At the end of the season, again, unknown to the operator, as they harvest the paddock, they are harvesting the yields within those treatments, and we've got a system set up that we can identify where those trials are and cut that yield out and produce a report similar to that one that says these are the yields and statistically analysed to say whether those yields were real or not. Okay. Laconik variable rate, this is 29 cents per hectare. We put this on the platform because we just had so many people saying we just want to be able to draw where we put our fertiliser or our lime or our gypsum. We can see from an aerial image, we can see from a historical yield map, we can see from soil tests, we can talk to the grower, they can tell us where the product needs to go. But we don't want to learn and buy a big software to do something that is so simple. So we said we need to set this up in such a way that a 5-year-old kid can do it. Basically, we look at it as this piece of paper with a box of crayons where you look at an aerial image. We can also put a yield map on this if we want to use a yield map to do it. And just click around the area that we want to put the product on. You don't even need to clip it to the paddock boundary. If you go outside, you'll clip it back and enter your rates. I did this across about 6,000 hectares for a grower who was putting potash on its seeding on the bar. We did variable rate across that 6,000 hectares, and it took about 45 minutes to do this whole operation. Okay, and on clicking and checking out, this is the map that you'll get, just so the operator in the cab can see what is meant to be happening and relating that to what he's seeing on his rate controller. Okay, very seamless process and works really well. There's no machine learning or anything in this product. It's just something that the market was telling us they wanted. We know it's not that much different to what someone like John Deere offers through Agrian in their system, but we just thought if people want it, we've got the capability to do it. Okay. When we're doing the in-season nitrogen recommendations, as we discussed, we use historical yield information. So we've got that sitting in the background. We had clients coming to us saying, I just want to have a picture of my paddock, my block, or my whole farm, just showing me what my yields were across that area. And we said, yeah, we've got the information there. We can do a quick and easy tidy on it, and happy to sell that to you for 10 cents a hectare. Okay. So the way that that looks is pick the farm, or sorry, the company, then the farm, and then the paddock. If you want to go down to the paddock level, you can see there that we've picked a whole block, and that was the 2018 yield. The red stuff is obviously canola. You can filter it by crop type if you want, and some clients just want to see all crops across the whole property on the same scale, which is obviously that one. Okay. That's a quick run through of where we're at. As I said before, you can follow that or type that link in and start playing with that platform right now. You can contact us, there's our details there. You can follow us on Twitter, or you can be similar to what some advisors and consultants are already doing with us. They're trialing us, they're linking with us, and they're linking with some enterprising growers to go through this process of purchasing some in-season nitrogen recommendations for Laconik and inserting trials so that we all learn together. I'll throw back to Darren to wrap up.
Thanks, Wayne. I guess that kind of draws today's webinar to a close. Like Laconik suggests, we like to do stuff short, sweet, and to the point. So I did have half an hour scheduled in here, but we're all busy. If you want to know any more information, our contact details are up there. Our phone numbers are up there. We can link John Deere through to the system right now. We can sync all that data in the background. If you've got clients and you're interested in working with some that don't have John Deere, we can upload a CSV folder and a KML, KMZ for the paddock boundary. It does take us a little bit longer, but it is possible. I'd just like to thank you all very much for your time, and yeah, have a great day. Thank you.